Welcome to Vedic Mathematics Basis Base Values classes. In this phase 8, we are focusing upon 4-space VMST format. So VMST 4-space format in the present 48th lesson, the conclusive lesson, the final lesson of this phase is captioned Creation on Transcendental Base. Let us avail this opportunity to recapture what we have learned during this phase in the 6 lessons, including the today's lesson. If these lessons are focusing upon 4-space VMST format, creative enrichment by text prayer, diamond format, transcendental origin, transcendental cavity, and creation on transcendental base. It is a 4-space VMST, so it is 4-space VMST format. So focus is upon 4-space format. Though the focus is upon 4-space format, but here for proper appreciation and proper comprehension, we are sequentially taking ourselves for a chase to the base upon which this creation features are chased, permitted to be chased. So the 4-space hypercube 4 with its hypercube 5 as the transcendental origin gives us a clue that whole this phenomenon of fourfold creation is in fact happening because of the availability of the transcendental base. As such, we shall give a specific caption as that 5-space in the role of origin provides a transcendental base. So transcendental base means that we are having availability of 5-space content in the role of the origin. 5-space in the role of an origin of 4-space creation format. So 4-space VMST is essentially a format of 4-fold layers. So 4-fold manifestation layers means as a dimension fold, boundary fold, domain fold, and origin fold. However, that these 4-fold manifestations get a support from the 5th additional layer, and it is this availability of the 5th layer which in the context of these 4 folds is unmanifest. Therefore, this unmanifest base of the creations is the real focus because it remains unmanifest. It remains unmanifest. However, we know that this unmanifest in fact is the transcendental. Therefore, the another name of this setup of these features is that 5-space is a transcendental space. It has a prominent role, but this role remains in unmanifest form. Therefore, the unmanifest feature of the manifested existence is the real focus of learning. Therefore, today, when we are evaluating as to what we have learned, what we are chasing, and how far we have been successful to chase this in phase 8, a 4-space VMST format, then we should make a specific caption, we should make a specific entry, and our focus point shall remain that this 4-fold manifestation layer, manifestation creations are there because of 4-space format. 4-space format is essentially a 4 folds. However, these 4 folds, dimension fold, boundary fold, domain fold and origin fold, as these are. So these quadruple folds come in the manifested form, but this manifested form existence is happening because of another fifth fold, a base fold, which remains unmanifest. So we have to make a note, what is the role of unmanifest fold in the manifested creation's existence phenomenon. The role of fifth fold as unmanifest fold is playing its prominent role, and it is this prominent role because of which we are having manifested creation's existence phenomenon. Once we will be in a position to glimpse this happening, that our existence phenomenon in manifested forms is a existence phenomenon of 4-space VMST. However, the 4-space VMST format, which gives us a manifested format of 4-fold, is in fact availing a fifth fold as a base fold, as a transcendental base fold, and that remains unmanifest in the context of our manifested existence. This fifth fold, a base fold, a transcendental base, as it is. Now this transcendental base, which is of value 5 and which is of 5-space content and which plays the role of origin of 4-space. So it is origin of a 4-space, however it is values 5. So it is 5-space in the role of the origin of 4-space. Therefore 5-space sometimes becomes of a 4th fold, particularly in the context of hypercube 4. So in hypercube 4, value 5, 5-space content is the 4th fold. However, it is a 5-space content. Therefore, we shall make a specific note as that we have to be very conscious in our appreciation of 5-space content in the role of a 4th fold. Therefore, there are dual roles, dual aspects of 5-space content which deserve to be comprehended thoroughly. First thing to be seen is that 5-space content being a 5-space, so it is of value 5, and as 5-space domain permits swapping in terms of a Sthapatya miring rod synthesized by hypercubes 1 to 5. Therefore, 5-space is having a role, essential role, basic role, prominent role, effective role as a 5th fold. However, when the hypercube 4 as a representative regular body of a 4-space manifests as 2-space, 3-space, 4-space and 5-space contents, then 5-space comes in the role of a 4th fold. Therefore, the role as a 5th fold and role as a 4th fold are two basic roles for which we have to appreciate the distinction of the features. It is this distinction for which we have to focus, and we have to conclude that during this phase 8 of our chase of format features of 4-space VMST, then essentially we are focusing upon the distinctive features of 5-space content while it is in the role of a 4th fold as origin fold and as a 5th fold as a base fold. So 5-space itself as the 4th fold and 5-space also essentially being of a 5th fold. Therefore, it is this interlinking, it is this dual status, it is this availability of 4 space and 5 space simultaneous in this chase. Therefore, it brings us to our focus that the 4 space and 5 space get compactified. By compactified means both are simultaneously available and both are simultaneously playing their role. Therefore, this concept of compactified roles in the context of the origin will bring to focus that origins get compactified. So let me elaborate that when we are in hypercube 3, then 4 space is playing the role of origin. When we are in hypercube 4, then 5 space is playing the role of an origin. When we will be a step ahead in hypercube 5, then 6 space will be playing the role of an origin. In this context, we can see that 4 space as an origin with 5 space as a base get compactified. 5 space as an origin with 6 space as base get compactified. Therefore, it is a sequential compactification. As such, the another feature which we are focusing during this chase is that the origin folds get compactified, or that origins folds get compactified and make a compactified range. It is this compactified range of the origins which makes a pillar, which that means we sequentially reach from 4 to 5, from 5 to 6, 5 to 7, it is becoming a pillar. It is a pillar, it is a solid pillar, as in the context of 4 space, we are starting understanding, observing, chasing of our compactification at 5 spaces origin, which is of a solid order. So here the compactification will be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and so on. Therefore, this pillar, this compactified origins pillar, let us make a specific note that here during this chase of phase 8 of 4 space VMST format, we are specifically focusing upon the role of the pillar emerging of a solid dimensional order as the origins compactification pillar. So at origin of 4 space, is a seat of 5 space. So 4 space gets compactified with 5 space, and further 5 space gets compactified with 6 as its origin. Therefore, at the origin of 4 space emerges a pillar, a solid pillar as a solid dimensional order. So 5 space in the role of origin is playing the role of a solid origin. So solid dimensional order is available at the origin seat, at the transcendental origin seat of a creator space. Now this solid order availability and there being a sequential compactification of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 further all origins. So these compactified origins availing the solid dimensional order. So the range of the compactified origins makes a compactified origins, so it becomes a pillar. It becomes a solid pillar. It becomes a solid pillar as there is an availability of a solid dimensional order because of the transcendental origin. So it is this feature which also deserves to be comprehended well, and it shall be thoroughly appreciated, and specific note shall be given that one of the prominent features of 4 space VMST format is that the transcendental origin of 4 space, because of its solid order, provides a solid order format for compactification of the origins at the seat of origin in 4 space. Therefore, this solid arrangement, this coordination, this compactification of solid order, transcendental origin, then creative order, self-referral origin, and so on proceeding. That means essentially it is a pillar, a solid pillar, which is being organized, which is being made basis for the sequential compactifications of the origin. So it is this pillar, it is of a solid order. In this context, it also would be relevant to take note that we have Prithvi, earth, as the first element. Then we have water as the second element. Fire is the third element. Therefore, the first element of a linear order, second element of a spatial order, and third order of a solid order. So the fire is the element which is to play its role of this format. So this coordination, this compactifications of origins at the seat of origin of force space. So the origin of the creator's space, force space, is a seat of compactification of the origins, and this compactification is having a solid order format, so it becomes a solid pillar, and this pillar is a fire pillar. Therefore, 5 space in the role of origin means the transcendental origin. This transcendental origin, because of its solid order, is providing us a solid pillar, compactification pillar format, and it being fire being the third element, therefore it becomes a transcendental fire pillar. This availability of the transcendental fire pillar for a chase at the origin of creator space. Therefore, the chase along force space VMST format when will ultimately reach at the phase and stage of a chase at its origin, then that will be of specific format features, and those format features would be parallel to transcendental fire pillar. Therefore, one shall sit comfortably, one shall permit the transcending mind to glimpse and imbibe these features and values of the format of a transcendental fire pillar. How the Vedic systems are successful to chase within the transcendental cavity itself. We have seen that the force space domain, because of the transcendental origin, because of the solid order of a transcendental origin, are creating a creative boundary envelope for the origin, which makes a transcendental cavity. And with the help of the spatial order, we are not successful to enter the transcendental cavity. So we have to be blissful in appreciation that how Vedic systems have been successful to overcome this limitation, how the spatial order's limitations melt away, and how there happens to be a transition and transformation from the spatial order to the solid order, and it is in terms of it that the transcendental cavity of the creator's space, of force space domain as such, stands bridged, stands crossed over, and it is this bridging, it is this crossing over of the transcendental cavity of the creator's space domain, which is in fact is the achievement. So success and achievement of force space VMST is the success of melting the mental state of a spatial order and having a transition to a solid order. It is with the transition to the solid order that we are successful mathematically and technologically to transit and transform by bridging the transcendental cavity. It is by bridging this transcendental cavity that Lord Brahma multiplies as 10 Brahmas, as there happens to be a reach in a Shivlok, a 5 space. So 5 space, which is enveloped within a creative boundary of 10 components, it is this reach at the transcendental domain being within the creative envelope. So it is this reach within the transcendental domain itself being within the creative envelope, which is the phenomenon of the intelligence field upon the consciousness base. Therefore, the consciousness base takes us to the transcendental domain, while the intelligence field takes us to the creative boundary. Therefore, the creative enrichment envelope for the intelligence field on the consciousness base is the basic breakthrough, is the basic reach, is the basic attainment of our chase of phase 8. Therefore, phase 8 is a chase for melting our spatial dimensional order, reaching a solid order, having a transition for bridging the transcendental cavity, and parallel to the meditation way of Lord Brahma, the overlord of four space, with our intelligence, we can have evolutionary growth of multiplying parallel to the multiplication of 10 Brahmas. So it is this achievement, it is this bliss, it is this success for which we shall revisit our all chase of these all steps. Before I conclude, let me say that the hypercube of 4, with its solid boundary of 8 components, when this solid boundary components sequentially transcend, strip off, and go in the outer space and dimensionalize the outer space as it creates the space, then parallel to it, we know there would be a synthesis of dimensions, and it will be taking us to 0, 3, 5, 6, 6, 4, 4, 5, 3, and then again 0. It is this achievement, it is this reach which shall be chased step by step. Therefore, we shall sit comfortably. Let us pray in terms of the augmented text of Ganita Sutras and Upsutras. After this prayer, in terms of the augmented text of Ganita Sutras and Upsutras, we shall sit for transcendental meditation, and during this transcendental meditation, we shall be creating a creative envelope for our intelligence. So the intelligence field within the creative envelope will amount to and go parallel to the format of the transcendental cavity itself getting fixed. Once this transcendental cavity gets fixed and we continuously remain in transcendental meditation, then at the transcendental origin seat there will happen and emerge a transcendental fire pillar, and this fire, this intelligence fire, this transcendental fire will melt the transcendental origin, and with the melting of this transcendental origin, with the whole entire transcendental cavity as such will envelop the whole of the four space domain, and so the entire domain will in fact will become the transcendental domain, and this transcendental domain with the six space as an origin means the self-referral domain with the creative order. Therefore, the creative order will come into play of its own. It is here where, when we will be chasing sequentially the stripping off of the solid boundary components, so 1 to 8 corners, we will reach at value -4, means we will be again coming back within the creator space. It is again coming back in the creator space. So we started with 4 space as hypercube of 4, and sequentially by transcending and bridging the transcendental cavity, we have again reached back to the 4 space, now in the role of a dimension. Therefore, starting with 4 space as a domain of hypercube 4, reaching at 4 space in the role of a dimension of 6 space is the attainment, is the success, is the chase steps range, and it is this chase steps range which deserves to be approached afresh step by step. Therefore, the blissful exercise is that we shall sit comfortably, permit the transcending mind to continuously remain in transcendence, and with this continuous transcendence, we will be in a position to create a particular field, and that field will be that which previously in the role of 4 space content as in the role of a domain is now coming in the role of a self-referral domain with the creative order. So 4 space as domain fold and 4 space as the dimension. So from 4 space as domain to 4 space as dimension. This is the chase success of 4 space VMST format, and along this format we will be having all the applied values parallel to the pure values. From next day we will be entering a phase 9 which will be 5 space VMST format. Therefore we shall make our notes complete. Let us evaluate ourselves. Let us pray regularly. Let us meditate regularly. And with this, let us create the required intelligence field so that we can have a transition from the spatial order to the solid order, and our further chase becomes blissfully the Vedic mathematics way. Thank you very much.